Hello, welcome to another episode of CripChat, your weekly podcast on everything disability. With me as usual is Tim. Amy and Edward. How are we all tonight?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm good.
pretty good, thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for having us on the
Yeah,
show
we're very
once
well, thank
again.
you. Very well, thank you, Jonathan.
And how you doing, Tim? How are you doing, Tim?
I'm good. Sorry, I didn't hear you. There's a delay on my end.
That's all good, so good. Yeah, welcome everyone on the show.
Welcome.
So, what are we gonna be talking about today, Tim?
Tonight's topic is inspiration porn. So, I'll provide some
Inspiration
background.
porn. What is that exactly?
Can you explain that to me? What inspiration porn is?
Yep, sure. So, inspiration porn, in summary, it's like when you see images of a person with a disability on Facebook doing a task like, tying their shoes up, or they're playing a sport or something, and often it's usually pictures of kids with disabilities and stuff, and it will have some sort of caption over it like, "Oh, before you quit, try," or "Your excuse is invalid" type thing. And it's a term that was coined by the late Stella Young, and she called it inspiration porn because it's something that non-disabled people look at to make themselves feel better about their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just basically putting us down by believing that we're superheroes, I guess, or we're doing super normal things. When in reality, we're just doing pretty ordinary stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's we're going to dive into, I guess, the different ways that inspiration porn impacts how people with disabilities are seen in society. So,
Yeah,
who wants to tackle the first point?
I guess it's putting our expectations low.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's putting them expectations of people with disabilities low, and giving us credit for anything we do.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be quite demeaning to be on the receiving end of that, in particular if you're like out in public or something and you're doing your shopping and you're grabbing like a bag of chips off the shelf and someone comes along and pats you on the back and says, "Oh, you're so brave, or you're so inspiring," just for something mundane as that. It like doesn't feel too good.
I guess
And
others feel.
yeah,
I
go
guess
on.
others are feeling like they're putting our pride up, but
Yeah,
I think they're doing opposite.
It also isolates us. It isolates us from everybody else because we're put into this category where we're seen as super special people, you know, and it diminishes us. It makes us feel like it makes us question ourselves. It puts us in a bad position. Because
Yeah.
you don't want to be seen as someone that's special. You just want to blend in and join everybody else in the community. Yeah, I think it is the meaning for someone to be, I guess, uh, and, putting inspiration porn on us. So how do we tackle this?
Yeah, well, I guess how we tackle it is through firstly talking about it and letting people know why it's bad, because people just think they're, being positive or, I guess, encouraging towards people with disabilities when they say, oh, you're so inspiring for catching a train by yourself or just doing an everyday task.
Yeah.
And I guess the main point is letting people know why it's bad and what some other things are that you can say in place of that. So, like, we've got some points here on the screen about inspiration porn. And the first point we were going to cover was it perpetuates the idea that disability is something to be overcome. So, in these images and stuff, you usually see a kid with carbon fiber running blades just running around something with the tagline of, oh, your excuse is invalid. And that sort of thing, it implies that disability is a negative thing and that it is rooted in, well, inspiration porn is rooted in the medical model of disability, which, as we know, focuses on the actual physical, I guess, side of things. For instance, if you have spina bifida, it would be focusing on all the things you can't do and the medical aspect of that. And that's the issue with inspiration porn, is it keeps that sort of idea going, and it takes away from the social model of disability, which is where we understand that the environment is actually what causes disability, and in adapting the environment, we can pretty much remove disability out of the equation and make it so everybody can participate in society without any barriers.
Yeah. But the question is, is disability something that you can overcome?
Pardon? Can you say that again?
I said, in
It's
terms
something
of
you can
people with
overcome.
disability, is disability something that that can be overcome?
Sorry, I've got
Can
really
you
bad
overcome
echoing on my end.
disability?
So, is disability something that can be overcome?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be if we use the social model of disability, which is adapting the environment. But with the medical model, that focuses on fixing the person or saying that the person is the problem and needs fixing. But as we've seen, if you go somewhere that's accessible and has, I guess, the supports in place, you're able to fit in and participate in society as anyone else would.
Exactly. You should focus on the person themselves and not the disability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Stella Young, for those of you who don't know Stella Young, she's a disability advocate. Well, she was a disability advocate. I recommend watching her on YouTube. And she puts it out there. Yep.
If you
Thank you for
want,
that.
can you put the YouTube link on
Yes,
one of
yes.
the comments?
We share it on the screen, David.
Sure.
She's a very
Yeah, thank
well spoken disability advocate.
Years later, I was on my second teaching round in a Melbourne high school, and I was about 20 minutes into a year 11 legal studies class when this boy put up his hand and said, "Hey, miss, when are you going to start doing your speech?" And I said,
You can't hear it too well.
"I've been talking to them about deaf
Can we have the volume up?
Yeah, turn the volume up on it, and what we'll do is we'll all mute our microphones.
Yeah.
They usually say like inspirational stuff. Yeah. It's usually in the big hall. And that's when it dawned on me. This kid had only ever experienced disabled people as objects of inspiration. We are not, to this kid, and it's not his fault. I mean, that's true for many of us. For lots of us, disabled people are not our teachers or our doctors or our manicurists. We're not real people. We are there to inspire. And in fact, I'm sitting on this stage looking like I do in this wheelchair, and you are probably kind of expecting me to inspire you, right? Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you dramatically. I am not here to inspire you. I'm here to tell you that we have been lied to about disability. Yeah, we've been sold the lie that disability is a bad thing. Capital B, capital T. It's a bad thing. And to live with disability makes you exceptional. It's not a bad thing. And it doesn't make you exceptional. And in the past few years, we've been able to propagate this lie even further via social media. You may have seen images like this one. The only disability in life is a bad attitude. Or this one. Your excuse is invalid. Indeed. Or this one. Before you quit, try. Yeah. These are just a couple of examples, but there are a lot of these images out there. You might have seen the little girl with no hands drawing a picture with a pencil held in her mouth. You might have seen a child running on carbon fiber prosthetic legs. And these images, there are lots of them out there. They are what we call inspiration porn. And I use the term porn deliberately because they objectify one group of people for the benefit of another group of people. So in this case, we're objectifying disabled people for the benefit of non-disabled people. The purpose of these images is to inspire you, to motivate you, so that we can look at them and think, well, however bad my life is, it could be worse.
Yeah. So that's essentially what inspiration porn is. It's using people with disabilities as a object of inspiration for the benefit of able-bodied people. And I guess the reason why people with disabilities take issue with it is we are just living ordinary lives, and we don't exist just to inspire you.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
We
AI.
should be doing the corner.
So you're saying they're using people with disabilities to inspire people with able bodies.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. It's we're basically promoting people with disability for the benefit
Is
of
John
people
still
who
on?
do not have
Is
disability.
Tim still on? Evie?
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't hear him.
Yeah, I'm just letting everyone else talk first. I'm still here. But yeah, another issue with inspiration porn
Yeah, I
is
guess that's
yeah,
what they're doing. And people with disability aren't really. Some people don't like it. Some people do. Some people feel the pity. Like treat me like one of the rest. And
Yep.
yeah, that's a good point you raised.
we're
But
normal.
yeah,
So if you're gonna give us an award or congratulate us for doing something, then congratulate us for something that's pity. Congratulate us for something that's worth it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I guess a problem with inspiration porn is it doesn't take into
I
account that
think we've
there's
lost them.
various
Have we lost them?
types. Sorry, what was that, David? I'll continue then.
Have you got yourself muted still, Jonathan?
Sorry, what was that, David?
No, is there?
No, we're all good. Sorry, continue, Tim.
That's a good.
Maybe we can't hear you.
Go on, Tim. I'm just gonna log out, log back in. But
That's a good.
continue with what you're saying.
But yeah, inspiration porn ignores the fact that there's various types of disabilities, and with that, inspiration porn can also become a tool that's used to shame other people with disabilities. So, for instance, if there's an image of a person with a disability running a race, and then somebody takes that image and shows it to a person who, for instance, can't run or has a chronic illness and is unable to run, and then they're like, oh, well, if this person can do it, why can't you? That's when it becomes a harmful thing because it generates the assumption that people with disabilities can do anything and everything just because they've seen one person with a disability do something. Another point that we're going to move on to now is it can actually interfere with our right to privacy. So, how it does that, a good example would be you've probably seen news stories or something of a fast food employee.
Jonathan, can you hear me?
Go on.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Tim. What were you saying?
Yeah, just
We can hear you now.
yeah, we can hear you better. But to bring you up to speed, we were just going on to the point how inspiration porn can actually interfere with the right to privacy that we have as people. And the way it does that, I'll draw an example of, I believe it happened in America. There was a woman with cerebral palsy, and she was unable to feed herself because of the nature of her condition. So she asked an employee if he could help her eat. So he put on a pair of gloves and helped feed the woman a meal. And then another customer took a photo of that without the woman's consent and then posted the image online with captions something along the lines of, oh, this employee is a saint. So inspiration porn is not only about people with disabilities, it also focuses on the people who are, quote, helpers and encourages non disabled people to help people with disabilities even if they don't need the help, it kind of becomes a thing where it perpetuates the idea that we are helpless and need help constantly when we go out if we're by ourselves.
Yeah, that's I couldn't agree more to you. We have the right to privacy, just like everybody else. We have the right to, I guess, choose the support workers that help us, support us. Yeah, we should not live in a society where people see that we need to be cared for all the time and that we need to be constantly supervised. It's not right. It's not right. We need to shy away from that.
Yeah. Well, the disability movement, it's come a long way. You think back 50 years ago with the unfortunate cases of institutions and stuff, and you see a lot of that is still sort of reflected in society, and in particular the media with the very low expectations of people with disabilities. I saw a news story today, actually. It was just a boy with cerebral palsy, and his mum made him some sort of little contraption so he could skate. And the story was littered with words like inspiring and courageous and all that, and they were really laying it on thick. But if you take disability out of the equation, they wouldn't report a story of a kid just going to the skate park and going down ramps. So it becomes very obvious that disability is a tool
I'm
used
back.
in the media for feel good stories. And that needs to stop because when people with disabilities are pitied, or when you pity someone, you look down on them. And if you're looking down on someone, you don't see them as an equal. You're probably not going to be treating them equally.
Yep, true. Yep. Welcome back, David. We'll talk about yeah, inspiration
Sorry,
porn
boys. I
interfere with our right to privacy. Wait, would you agree
EB.
with that? Yeah,
Can you hear
David.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
I got disconnected.
Anyway, moving on. Yes, so
So
yep.
I guess the final point is we must take inspiration for porn as giving people positive attention. That is not the case
No.
because people with disabilities want to be recognized for genuine achievement.
No.
We don't want the tokenism of just because we have CP or muscular dystrophy somehow makes us great. We want to be celebrated for our genuine contribution to society.
Yep.
Tim.
I just had to go steal a pen off my bird. He's getting into things that he shouldn't. But yes, sorry about that. I got distracted. I agree with the point that it is mistaken for positive attention.
Yeah, it's look. I guess the thing is for people with disability as well, it kind of makes them afraid to go out there in the community because of these things, because of the way that people view us as being inspirational tools. The
It
matter of
also
the
makes
fact is, people should not be afraid. Rather, they should stay strong and I guess yeah, go out there in the community and go live your life just like everybody else. Don't let anyone pull you down, put you in that position where you do feel insecure and you do feel like, and you do feel just down and not a part of the society.
Yeah, I agree. And if
Yeah,
you do have someone come up to you and call you an inspiration, my favorite go-to thing is I just respond with what for, what makes me inspirational, and usually they're just so put on the spot that they kind of just shut up and leave you alone.
yeah, yeah. I guess many of us have been put inside many times. We've all been there. We've all been there.
I think people call us inspirational because they feel down and they want to look up to others.
Mm.
Then make feel that others are are trying. Where
Yeah.
if they were in that position, it would be hard for them. They can't imagine being in that position
Mm.
because I've been told many times, and many times that it's not a nice thing. They tell me I don't know how you do it, but if I was in your position, I wouldn't be able to continue.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think people make those comments. They think they're making them from a well-meaning space, but they just really don't come from that because in order to make those comments, the basis of those comments are assuming that our lives as disabled people, sorry, person with disabilities, is so miserable and undesirable that we have no quality of life, and that's just completely wrong because we do have quality of life and we do things just like everyone else, and we're not really any worse off. We just may get around differently or have some challenges, but that doesn't make us exceptional.
Exactly. And it's also seen as I'll give you an example. Last time I went out with my friend who's in a wheelchair. We went out and we had a coffee together. And this lady approached us and she goes, "Oh, it looks like you're having fun, enjoying yourself." And the first thing that got to our mind was, "Why do we? That doesn't mean that we're out and about. We're we're always miserable. Being people with disability, we're always miserable." Um, look, I guess she is coming from she's just trying to engage in conversation. I guess, but in reality, they don't know that it impacts us. Yeah, it does affect us mentally. Um, yeah, there was another case that was with my friend, able-bodied user. we were having coffee at a cafe once for breakfast, and an old woman comes up to my friend, and she goes, "You're such a lovely person, taking me out for breakfast." And I'm sitting there confused, like, you know, why? Why? Just go and live your life. You don't need to interfere. Gee, it was diminishing for me. It made me feel like I was worthless.
Yeah, that's unfortunately something that's quite common, especially in the older generations, because when they were younger,
Because
people like us were institutionalized, and that's something they weren't exposed to growing up.
Yeah.
it's always with me too. Like thanks for they they thank the other person that's with me because they're taking care of me. Like seriously, you think I can't take care
Yeah.
of myself?
Yeah. It's look. I
Yeah,
won't say it is what it is, but yeah, it's we just gotta, I guess, not let our emotions get in the way.
Now you know what? Now, I think the best thing what we can do is actually when things like that happen, we should educate people.
Yes, and
yeah,
it always comes back to the education. It always comes back.
It's
Every
like
single little thing
education.
always comes back to the education.
If you don't tell them, look, I'm normal, I can do this without that person, but they won't know.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can use those moments as teachable moments, but some days, you just don't have the energy to do that, and that's okay. You don't have to respond to every person who says those sorts of things. But yeah, the best thing you can do is try not to take it to heart and understand that people don't know any better, and the only way we can improve that is if we tell people and get the message out there. So, in having these conversations like we are now, and the advocacy work of people before us, and I'm sure there'll be people after us who continue this, we'll have a better society where everyone gets treated equally, regardless of how they look or anything like that.
Exactly. Spot on. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You should never
How
let
they
your
look and how
emotions get in the
they
way.
capability.
Yeah.
And I guess when particular organizations use inspiration for in their marketing, we have a responsibility to call it out and make sure we as people with disabilities are portrayed in the right way, not as weak or pathetic, but as equal citizens entitled to be treated with fairness and dignity.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we gotta be better, equal citizens, and that's normal. not day to day.
So, are there any other points anyone else would like to add?
No, I think I got my message because, just stay strong, Don't let anything affect you mentally. When people do talk down on you,
people
respond positively.
can feel it mentally,
Yeah,
but try to belittle them.
yeah. Anything you'd like to add, Tim?
Pardon? Can you say that again? Sorry.
Anything you'd like to add?
No, I think I've covered most of the points I intended to talk about, but I guess my main thing in summary is inspiration porn has pointed out that there is a broader need for teaching the social model of disability. And in to quote Stella Young, disability doesn't make you exceptional, but questioning what you think you know about it does.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You've been watching CripChat, your weekly podcast on everything disability. My Australian disability. Join us next week for more CripChat. Subscribe, like, and share. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah,